Hey, this is Meredith Elliott Powell, and you know what time it is? Well, it's a little early on Saturday morning, a little earlier than we usually go, but it is time for Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you want to know to sell effectively. And I am hanging out here just about 20 minutes from going on stage to do a keynote with my friend and my co-host Mark Hunter. How you doing this morning, Mark?
I'm doing great. And you know what? Why don't we get the show going? Because you got another event after that. Okay. Shall we go?
Let's go.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity.
Well, you know what? Let's not worry about that. Let's just get into the show. How's that sound?
That probably sounds like a good idea. It's probably my fault. I'm hanging out here on hotel internet, and you know how hotel internet is.
Totally fine. For those of you listening on the podcast version, don't worry. We'll get the whole thing clipped in for you. Those of you live, yeah, that's why we call it live. So, hey, good morning. It's great to see you. Great to chat. Let's get into the show. Why don't you tell the audience how the show works?
Sure. So every Saturday morning we come to you, usually at 9 o'clock Eastern, unless one of us is busy on a stage somewhere with a client. And every week we come to you, and the show works like this. We start off with our favorite part of the show, and that is a question from you, the audience. Next up is our hot topic. Then we dive into the book, the thing that you should be reading this week in order to make you even more effective at the sales process. And just because we want you to get return on investment for what you have given us, which is your time, you walk away with a lightning round. So, Mark, what is on tap for today?
Well, on tap today, the topic is how do I motivate myself? And it really comes from a question from Stephanie in Toronto. She asks, I lead a team of BDRs. They split their time 50-50 between working from home and in the office. And I find their attitude slips when they work from home. They put up the numbers I need in terms of calls and emails, but the results are not there. When they're in the office, it seems they're far more active and the results reflective. How can I get them to be more motivated when working from home? The dilemma we hear a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. In today's remote world, it is difficult to stay motivated. And I think the fact that we're, 2.5 years into so much uncertainty that it's difficult to stay motivated. But I want to start by saying, I think one of the most important things to understand is as a leader, you can't motivate anybody. You can create the culture, but you can't motivate the individual. So that's going to open a bigger conversation. But number one is, I think you take this question to them. If you want to motivate people, intrinsic motivation comes from it being their ideas. I would ask them, look, I want to make sure that our activity is as strong when you're at home working as it is when you're in the office working. What are some things that we could do in order to stay motivated? Get them active, get them engaged, and get them involved.
Wow, you stole my thunder by saying that the boss can't motivate anybody. I love it, but I believe in it so much, and I know you do too. You know what's very interesting is, Stephanie, I got to call out a situation I saw this week. I was working with a team of BDRs on site here in Dallas, and it was amazing. The manager said that he had given them the option that they could work from home or, in the office. And what was absolutely fascinating was he said all of them said they'd rather work from the office. And I asked him why. What was that? He said because they know they make more money when they're in the office, because the culture, this culture of this BDR team, absolutely powerful. In fact, the company is so sold on it. It's a Silicon Valley based company. But they have said they're going to locate 50 BDRs in their Dallas office because of the strength of this one existing team here. And so, Stephanie, I'm going to challenge you to up the game even more. And just as Meredith said, you can't motivate anybody. All you can do is create an environment for people to motivate themselves. But you know what? Make the office so inviting that they want to come to work. They don't want to work from home. That's one way for you, Stephanie, to overcome that. How do I up the numbers working from home?
Yeah. Stephanie, I also want to ask is that I just interestingly enough, I just shot a video about this morning, is that what do you reward? What do you focus on? So, if you want people to stay motivated, you have to understand that whatever is coming out of your mouth is what the team is going to do. So if you have somebody who just had a great sales call, if you talk about that great sales call, if you talk about the fact that somebody worked until 10 after 5 because they just had to help a customer, if you talked about the fact that somebody just really went above and beyond with a customer or to help somebody else on the team is going to do what you focus on. And if you want them to get motivated and excited about doing more behaviors, then understand that everything that comes out of your mouth is really important. Don't focus so much on what they're not doing. Focus more on what they are doing right. Even if it's a small percentage, focus there and you'll get more of it.
I love that because I'll tell you what, the reason people work is far more than just compensation. People sit there and say, and this particular team, they say, well, that we come in to the office because we make more money. You know what? These are not at the top of the pay scale in terms of BDRs that I see in the business community, right here in the Dallas area. What I find very interesting is they come to work because the culture, the environment is so engaging. They are like family. They are tight. They are and as a result, they all support one another because they celebrate each other's success. And Stephanie, maybe this
Yeah.
is what you got to do when people are working from home, even though they're working from home, and maybe that's because of geographical transportation, et cetera, whatever. You still have to find ways, and you can do it by allowing people to share their success. And you celebrate your success. You take 5 minutes, maybe 2-3 times a day. Everybody's on a Teams call, everybody's on a Zoom call, whatever. And you're going around the horn real quick and saying, hey, what's happened over the last 3-4 hours? What's the success? Let's celebrate success. Create the environment that you have in the office the same way so people can appreciate it working from home.
You also want to dive in, Stephanie, and figure out what motivates each individual, on the team. You may have a real driver in there, somebody who just is totally motivated off results. They want to win. They want to get to the end game. Other people are motivated by the fact that they really want to feel like they're making a difference in the customers' lives, or they're helping a team, or somebody on your team might, be motivated by the fact that they get a star on their head because they're the best person, that week. Whatever it is, people are very, very individualized. I know, like for me, I used to have a boss that used to come around and thank us for all of our hard work. Some of the people that I worked with thought that was a stupid waste of time. I really valued that he would never leave the office without saying thank you. So that obviously motivated me, but it didn't motivate others. So in doing that, you need to understand as a leader individually what drives the people, what's important to them and what matters to them. And then make sure as a leader, you're adjusting your style accordingly.
That brings to mind Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz, great football coach. He was asked one time, he said, how do you motivate a team? You motivate the team by motivating individual players. In other words,
Yes.
He had a different strategy for each player. And Stephanie, that's exactly what your approach has to be. It's not to pick favorites. It's not to say you're going to double down on somebody. But what you do is you motivate because different people respond differently. And as a manager, as a leader, that's what your job has to be. Hey, we should probably transition into the topic. How do I motivate myself? We'll say I'm a solopreneur. I don't have a boss. Or maybe I do have a boss. Maybe I work for Stephanie and I'm working from home. How do I motivate myself?
Mark, I knew we were going to talk about this today, so I was thinking about it this morning. I woke up in a hotel room. It's cold. It's cold where I am. If I didn't get up and exercise this morning, it wasn't going to happen. And I've got an early morning keynote. All the good reasons to blow everything off, right? I think one of the most important things with if you want to motivate yourself is to be mindful, is to have a clear and a present vision of what you want to happen and what you want to achieve. For instance, if you don't feel like making your sales calls, take a moment and remember the fact that you want to finish top 5 in your company, or you want to be that sales professional that really helps your customers. If you didn't feel like getting up and exercising this morning, you remember that you want to feel good the rest of the day. You want to be able to bring everything you can to the audience or the customers. Whatever it is, motivation begins with, and Mark Hunter knows this better than anybody, it begins because he wrote the book. It begins with mindset. And you've got to be clear. And the first thing is to intentionally think about what you want.
I love that approach. And two things that I always say. First of all, you have your long-term goals, but you have your short-term goals, and you motivate yourself by saying, this is what I'm going to get done in the next 30 minutes. This is what I'm going to get done in the next hour. I tell people, if you're struggling with motivation, don't focus on trying to make that number that you don't think is achievable. Focus on just making one phone call in the next 2 minutes. Just focus on getting one email out. Just focus on one. What you do is you set small goals that you know you can accomplish. And there's something very interesting, but when you set small goals that you know you can accomplish, it creates momentum. And then you begin setting bigger goals, bigger goals, bigger goals. But if you're unmotivated because you see this number out there that I can't achieve it, small goals and increase your emphasis as you go throughout the day. Dave Sanderson's jumping in. Dave, love to have you with us this morning. Great. Hey, Larry Levine talks about you often, so thank you for checking out the podcast. And I'll tell you what, your comment about moving your body is so spot on. Now, it's kind of funny because I have a 3 a.m. semi-keynote I have to do Monday morning for South Africa. And I'm wrestling in my mind, is this going to be something that I'm going to get up for or stay up for? And I haven't quite processed in my mind as to how that's going to work. But I know I got to be at a certain performance level at 3 a.m. I don't know.
Well, we'll see how you get motivated for that. I really, I love what Dave is saying here. He's saying that moving your body changes your state. Wow. Tony Robbins does a huge piece on this that is so key. And I really want to challenge the audience to try it. So for example, I'm laying in bed this morning. I don't feel like getting up and going for a run. Unlike you, Mark, I don't like to run. I only do it on the road because it's my only option. But just getting up and moving, just taking that first step. I hadn't even committed to the fact that I was going to put all my clothes on, head outside and do whatever in the cold weather, but just moving changes the state. And I think those types of things really get you motivated. Years ago, I saw an interview with Gabrielle Reese, the great women's volleyball player. And she said, if you want to be great at anything, sometimes you just have to do it, even if you don't feel like it. So focus on progress, not on perfection. Making a sales call is better than not making a sales call. Even if you didn't do it well, you'll do it better next time.
I think that is so spot on.
Here for you.
I love what Dave is saying. So Dave, that's actually what I am leaning towards. I'm going to get up at 1:30. I'm going to work out because I have a very set routine. You're right. Just like you, Meridith. I mean, I may not run first thing in the morning, but I do weights. I do physical activities first thing in the morning. And this is the whole thing. You can't motivate yourself if you're not disciplined in that first 30 minutes of the day.
Yeah.
You cannot motivate yourself. You have to get into that routine. And that alarm goes off, and within a minute or so, I'm out of bed. And I have a very set, explicit routine. And of course, it always involves a cup of coffee. And that pot of coffee is always ready when I get done lifting weights, because that boom. And then I very set. But what happens? I'm achieving these little tiny goals. And it's amazing the success you have along the way. We got some other comments coming in. Spencer Ripley. I love this. Progress, not perfection. Indeed, this is where so many people from a motivation standpoint get hung up. They're not motivated because they can't be perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about perfect. Just make progress. And from enough progress comes perfection. But that's down the road. Just make progress.
Mark, something I think that we're leaving out that is really important that I know you and I really both believe in is that if you want to get motivated, surround yourself with people who motivate you. If you're somebody who's struggling to work out, get around a group of people who work out. It'll just make you do it. Struggling to eat right, get around people who eat well. Struggling to make sales calls, hang out with people who make a lot of sales calls. I mean, you really are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So the more that you surround, there's like an osmosis effect. Right. And so it's, you want to surround yourself with people who are calling you to, to a higher place. It'll just happen to you naturally. I know there have been times I just want to eat something bad. And if I'm around people who made bad choices, I'll go down that avenue. If I'm around people that made better choices, I'm like, well, oh God, okay, I'll get what I'm supposed to do.
Okay, Meridith, you motivate me a lot. And it's one reason we hang out, because we motivate, but you haven't motivated me to change my eating habits. I'm sorry. I love junk food. Okay. I'm sorry. That's a habit I love. But you really touch on something. You really do have to be careful of who you associate with.
Yes.
You really very carefully have to select your friends. And negative energy spreads itself very quickly. When you associate, it's why you and I were part of a mastermind group. And it's so powerful to be able to connect with people. And what do? We lift each other up. Motivation, yes, does come from within, but we get our signals from the environment around us.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing that we're talking about, Mark, these are all things that all things that you can control. Motivation really does come from progress. Far too often we think we have to accomplish the goal. Like I have to close $100,000 worth of business. Well, it's hard to motivate myself for that. That's a big number. But if I say I need to make 3 sales calls today, that's progress. Focus on progress. That will get you motivated. And so stop beating yourself up for what you don't accomplish and start looking at what you do accomplish and focus, really focus on that. I really can't emphasize that enough, is that discipline can be learned. Motivation is something you can spark in yourself. And discipline gets such an eye roll from people. I mean, who wants to be disciplined, right? But discipline is the path you need to accomplish anything you want in life if you just apply the actions to it. And it doesn't need to start out perfect. I think that's so key. And so
yeah, I mean, Dave is saying here about getting up at 3:30. Top performing people are absolutely disciplined. They are in their head. And as a result, they get far more done. So don't blow off the whole art of discipline. That's why a few months ago, we talked about the book Atomic Habits. I love the book Atomic. I have probably sold more copies of Atomic Habits than I have my own book, because it's a book about getting those habits and getting those things that you really need to be doing. Yeah. We got some great comments coming in. Michelle, writes about that. I have that 10 a.m. rule. You want to accomplish something significant by 10 a.m.
yes.
Again, it's getting it done. Yes. Hey, getting it done. Time is slipping by, and I know you got a call time here in just a few minutes. Why don't we jump over to the book? The book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. This is a great story, gentlemen.
I don't know this book. Super excited to read it.
I can't remember who told me about it. In fact, I saw a video clip. Amazing story. This is a gentleman who, against all odds, overcame, and I believe he Naval Academy graduate, Navy SEAL, trained with the range. I mean, this guy's just turned into a machine, overcoming every habit, on the verge of getting kicked out of everything. But it's the art of discipline and motivating himself. And he talks about the 40% factor. We'll put it in the show notes to get the link, but it's Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Excellent book. Hey, let's jump over to the lightning round. The lightning round is 10 ways to motivate yourself. We got a little bit of a signal connection here with Meridith, so I'm going to jump in 10 ways to motivate yourself. And that is, one, you start by making sure you associate with other great people around you. Don't allow yourself to hang out with losers. Meridith, you're on deck. 10 ways to motivate yourself. Go ahead.
Number one is for me is to be mindful, to think about what you want and have a clear vision for your business and your professional life.
Okay, that was actually number two because you missed number one, but that's
Oh,
okay.
sorry,
So,
I
it's
clicked out
okay.
here.
Don't worry about it. Hey, we love doing shows live. We love a little bit of internet. Anyway, hey, here's the whole thing. Number three, set small goals to accomplish them early and continue to progress your way to the big goals throughout the day.
Number four, focus on the messages that go into your mind, the people you surround yourself with, the things that you read, the messages that go in there. Stay on the positive side.
Number five, be absolute disciplined with your time. The most important meetings you'll ever have all day are the meetings you set with yourself because you're focused on yourself. Use your calendar as your tool to guide you throughout the day.
Reflect and number six, reflect and reward. Reflect on, take the time to look back on the week or even on the day at the things that you did accomplish, the things that you did do, and pat yourself on the back. Take yourself for a walk or whatever really motivates you and makes you happy, and give yourself a reward for the progress that you're making.
You just stole that one from me because that's what I was going to share next. Hey, each day you reach out and you compliment at least two other people. Every day you reach out and tell other people why you're thankful for them, why you appreciate them, compliment them. But in so doing, what you'll be doing is you'll be changing your own view as to how you look at what you do.
All right. I think this is number 8 is understand what motivates you, what feeds energy into your body, and make sure you make time for those in the day. I'll just give you a quick example. Like for me, I have to go outside at least 4 or 5 times a day. The moment that I step outside, I go for a walk down my driveway, it fills me back up with energy, and I can come back in and I can do the things that I need to do. Spending a little bit of time with my puppy Jackson makes me really happy. So understand what motivates you and give yourself those breaks throughout the day in order to do that.
And I'll share one more. You share one more. We'll close it down. I'm going to say, hey, subscribe to Sales Logic Podcast, right? Okay, that was cheap. That was easy. Go ahead and we'll close it down.
All right. The last thing I think to motivate yourself is to give yourself a break, is that this is a long journey and one that you will never accomplish and you will never finish. And I don't say that to demotivate you. I say that to motivate you because it is a constant work in progress. But because of that, you don't even know what you are capable of accomplishing. So just move forward every single day. And I hope that Mark and I can be 2 people that you surround yourself with to keep you motivated, because we are in the trenches with you. We have good days. We have bad days. We have days where we're up and feeling like we want to make sales calls and where we want to exercise, we want to eat right, and days that we don't, but we do it anyway. So get in a community like Sales Logic or another community that works for you, where people can support you, they can listen to you, and they can help keep you motivated too.
I love it, because success is not a destination. Success is a journey. With that, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, hey, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right. We will see you right back here next week. I'll actually be back in my office 9 a.m. Eastern for another episode of Sales Logic. Thank you so much to the audience. You are amazing. You are what keep us motivated and keep us going. Please remember, if you have a question, send it to saleslogicpodcast.com. We really want to cover the topics that are relevant and important to you. But until then, I hope you have a great selling week, and we'll see you here next week. Bye.